We are live. We are live. We are live. Sir, please start, sir.
Hi, good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the Atal Innovation Mission talks, which have been organized for your benefit. I hope all of you who are on this call, students, teachers, principals, mentors, and parents, I hope all of you are safe in the safety of your home. All of you are practicing the COVID-19 safeguards, and I hope everybody is hale and hearty. We at Atal Innovation Mission are very focused on ensuring that we create and promote an ecosystem of innovation and entrepreneurship across the length and breadth of our country. And why is this so important? It is important because the future is in the hands of our young students, and we have many of them. We are a country which is what is called as having a demographic dividend. We have 65% of our country under 35 years old, and we have 1.5 million schools in our country, more than 600,000 secondary schools and higher secondary schools. And all the students of these schools are going to build the future of our country. The destiny of our country is in their hands. We have more than 10,000 colleges, universities, more than 39,000 colleges, and by recent estimates, more than 150 million young students will be entering into the workplace over the next 5 to 10 years. And what we are trying to do is ensure that all the young children in our India, all the young intellectual energy and capability and prowess that we have, which is the essence of any country, we want to ensure that all of them get the benefit of access to some of the latest technologies and tools that are reshaping the world. The world is changing dramatically because of affordable, accessible, available, and advanced technologies like 3D printing, like robotics, like Internet of Things, like miniaturized electronics, augmented virtual reality. These are new technologies that are becoming affordable and which is getting integrated into everything that is happening, every innovation that is happening in the world. And so it's very important for just one second. I think can you mute all the others? There is some sound which is coming. Ronak. Okay. So it is very important for us, our young children, to be abreast of all these latest technologies. And not only that, we want our children to become problem solvers. We want them to become innovators. Because every student, every young student has the innovative potential. Everybody is a born innovator. When we are born, we don't know how to stand on our legs, but we look at others, we stand, we fall down, we stand again, we fall down. And then every time we stand, we innovate. And by innovation, we learn how to walk, how to run, how to take part in races, and you soon have an Usain Bolt winning Olympics and winning national and breaking international records. You don't know how to speak when you are a child, but you observe the world around you. You make patterns, you see lips moving, you hear sounds, and then you start emulating that. And every time you make a mistake, you innovate and you start becoming better and better. And soon we are not able to make you stop talking. So that is, the power of innovation. We learn so many languages when we are young. So every one of you is a born innovator. But how do we ensure that that innovative capability, that creative capability that you have gets unleashed fully during your school time, during your school days, as well as when you go to the universities? And how do you transform that creative potential that you have as job creators and innovators rather than just being job seekers? And why is that so important? Because our country needs, the world needs it. Today, we have more than 22% of our country still below the poverty line. So many children don't even have the capability of going to a school that many of you are going to. There is 44% of our country which is still agri-economy based. So they don't have a chance to come and work or study in smart cities or in tier 1, tier 2 cities, which some of you do. So we have a lot of challenges in our country, but these challenges can be converted into opportunities, opportunities for innovation, opportunities for startups, opportunities for entrepreneurs, and that is what we want you to become. So in this case, that is why we have launched the thousands of adult tinkering labs across the country, so that you can start innovating, looking at problems in and around the community that you are in, and start solving and start becoming innovators. Now, we have at this point in time more than 5,000 tinkering labs across the country. We have selected more than 14,000 schools, and they are in the process of completing their due diligence. And hopefully, before the end of this year, we will have more than 10,000 schools who are having adult tinkering labs. But innovation also has many other things that have to go along with it. You need a number of soft skills that need to be developed, 21st century skills of communication, of creativity, of designing, of critical thinking, of collaboration, of teamwork, of being able to work, of being able to work with each other, of being able to work even with some seniors as well as juniors. All of these are 21st century skills which you need to know and you have to be aware. And an innovative mind is only when it is a very happy mind. Unless you are happy, unless you are emotionally balanced, you cannot become an innovator when you have 100 worries about you. You have some fears or you have some issues that you have to deal with. And in order to deal with those issues, if you are not able to deal with those issues, then your innovative capabilities get suppressed. And that is why we are delighted today to have Nicole Rangel, who is an expert on emotional balance for children. She has been devoting her life throughout for the last couple of decades on child rights and child protection related issues. She's also the co-founder of Leher, which is an organization which works closely with UNICEF and with all other and many other organizations to ensure that children get the necessary protection. They are able to get access to help whenever they need, and it is not just help from a school teacher or from the neighbor, but it is also from a friend or from your parent. You need a whole lot of sources of help. Whenever in my house, for example, if I have a problem, I go and discuss with my family so that they are able to come and give me some suggestions how to address that problem. Some things you are not willing to discuss even with your friends, but or sometimes you may not be willing to discuss with your family, but you may be willing to discuss with your friends. So these are all issues that we have to deal with in a very systematic manner, and that is what Nicole specializes in. So I am very delighted. We feel honored and privileged that Nicole has joined us today. I would ask Nicole to introduce herself a little more than what I have shared, and to say what is it that has driven her to be so passionate about child protection, child rights, children, and how does she feel all of this aligns with what we are trying to do, and that is become a very innovative young student who is able to change the world. So Nicole, over to you. You're on mute. Can you unmute? Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Ramanan. It's a privilege to be here with you all today. And more than being an expert, I think I'm a social worker with 21 years of experience now working with children. And I think it's just been a journey where one has learned and one has grown. And I think just looking at children and children's rights is something that I feel very, very strongly about. And I think that's what brings me here into this discussion today. My organization, Leher, I'll take a minute to tell you. It is a child rights organization. And I think someone shared earlier, I come from a childline background where after years of dealing with emergency, we felt that, we've also got, there are problems that lie at the root of why children have to reach out in emergencies through this lockdown, right? It started with a few days and then it extended. And by the end of the week, our whole country was in lockdown. I remember feeling very sad. I live outside a metro station. And every day after work, I would stand and watch these trains, people coming and people going. And that would be the end of my everyday at work. And suddenly I would look out and there was nobody. It was beautiful, ghostly beautiful, seeing stars in the sky and seeing the moon rise. But somewhere I just felt very sad. My schedule changed suddenly. I had help in my home to help me. Suddenly they were gone. Before I opened my eyes, I had to have jhadu in hand, do my work, and be at my desk by 9:30. My dear young people who are listening in, I'm sure you went through this drastic and very sudden change too. At your age, life is about planning. It is about exams. It's about competition. It's about the next competitive entrance. So many choices that have to be made. So this must have really been a big disruption for you. And I know not many of you like to discuss feelings. You all must be saying, ugh, feelings. Especially, I know many of you are boys listening in. Boys are, society keeps telling you that, be strong, man up. But this is a time where I really want all of you to listen to me. It is a time where it's important. It's important that we must discuss feelings. We must acknowledge at this time what we are going through. To do what we call, a check-in. I don't know, sometimes have we played that game, knock, knock, who's there? And maybe this is a time to do that, knock, knock, who's there, with your head and with your heart. Some ideas and some ways in which you can check in is do write yourself a note. Sometimes write a story. You can write a story. If you have access to email, you can write a story with a friend. Take some deep breaths. Sometimes just taking deep breaths and being conscious is really good for you. Being mindful of what you're feeling. Do a spot jog. Listen to yourself. Draw and sketch. Sometimes sketching and drawing really helps. Try and put words to your feelings. Sometimes we feel a whole lot of things. May feel like a pain. It may feel like something in my stomach. It may feel like I have a lump in my throat. But we must try and put words to these feelings. And also remember that though there may be many people who are going through far worse than you are going through, it's all right for you to feel these feelings. You must put a name to it and tell yourself that it is okay. If you have personal space like a mirror, a desk, a drawer, a shelf, write yourself some notes, write yourself some quotes and place it there. The other thing is our families. Suddenly things have changed for all of us. Mother, father, step-parents, siblings, grandparents. Suddenly everyone is around. We are all sharing space and have to make inconvenient adjustments to accommodate each other. Maybe mom is cleaning, or mom has to rush off to take a con call, somebody else has to clean, you have to wake up. There's so much going on right now in our families. There's so much extra work. Neither are we used to being with everybody at home all the time, nor are they used to being with us. So really, it's a time where there's additional load. And a point for you all, observe, see what you can do. Also see if the sharing of the additional load is proportional. Here I have a recommendation, and I strongly recommend this to those who have children age 13, those children who are 13 and above. Please take one difficult job of your parents. I have encouraged my own children to clean toilets and drains. It took them a few times to do it well, but I'm proud. Do a task at home that helps break a stereotype. You decide what that can be. Discuss with your parents and take their approval. Always remember that when you are doing work at home, clean up your own mess. Don't make extra work for somebody else. And anticipate. Look, if I'm cleaning a floor and I see there is a dustbin that needs to be cleared, clear it. Anticipate the need, anticipate what comes next. Make yourself the next thing. Make yourself in charge of doing something special with your family. It may be hard for your parents at first to break out of parent mode, but push hard. Get a few members of your family to support you and break them down slowly. You never know what you'll find. That dad is an amazing dancer, or he may think he's an amazing dancer, or actually he's not. That mom has many card tricks that she never shared with you before. And maybe that Dadaji or Nani are really great at Antakshari. Try and do this once a week. It may be hard at first, it may be quite unimaginable or even nonsensical, but try, you won't regret. It will be something that so positive and so special to remember this tough time by. Children, in your community also, there are probably many changes going around. Right now, we are all learning to live with the coronavirus. So, lockdown in many places is being, we are trying to move out of lockdown in stage 4. So, parents are trying to get back to work. Families are going through dilemmas. How to start, if we go to work, then how do we allow our domestic help in? We still may have elderly grandparents or people in our families with chronic needs who are at higher risk. So this is also a stressful time. It's a stressful time for our families. It's a stressful time even for us as kids. And maybe, while we may not be part of taking decisions around this, we can display empathy. We can support our family. Also, remember, this was a really hard time for your domestic help. Phone them, talk to them. In being kind to them, there is also a healing and an inner peace and a mental relaxation for us. Also, young people in the wider world around us, we are now seeing millions of migrant laborers suffer great hardship and indignity as they struggle to get home. This would also cause you and your family grief. Sometimes we feel guilty that we're not able to do anything. But we must talk about what we are seeing, share in our family, express how you feel. And remember, it is our collective responsibility not to forget this hardship that people are having to endure. I hand back to you, Dr.
Thank you. Nicole, that was quite a range of very practical suggestions that you have given to the children. And, if I may just recapitulate what you said, there are at least 4 elements that I saw. One is discovering yourself. There is something about you, your interests, your new interests. You do some reading, you do some, areas that you have not been focusing on. You discover about your own family, understand them a little better. You're discovering some new capabilities that you didn't know existed within your father or your mother, and so on and so forth. The second is the exploration part that you said, exploring together some areas where you can collaborate and where you can join and where you can do things, fun stuff together, no matter how silly it looks, but it brings you all together and it helps you to discover some new elements and surprise. And I know this, for example, my elder daughter who is in Seattle, she has come up with a game, and we miss her because she's not physically here with us. But she said, Dad, let's play a game. I'm going to, you have to guess a city. I think of a particular city name or whatever, and I'll give you 20 questions. And with these 20 questions, I will just say yes or no. And you have only 20 options. And within these 20 options, you have to discover that particular city which I have in mind. And it was such an engrossing game. All my entire family got into it. And now we are playing this game regularly. It can go for not just a city, but it could be, some scenic place, or it could be anything. So things like that. The other thing that you mentioned was taking some responsibility, assuming some responsibility, because suddenly you're finding that you don't have the access to your help. The servant is not coming home, and your parents have to deal with a lot of stuff. So what can you do to assume some responsibility and some ownership, so that the burden of sharing is reduced, and you don't have everybody, it's not dependent on a few people to do all the things. And at the same time, making sure that you keep your room tidy and all of that. The fourth thing that you mentioned was to do something. I mean, start writing some notes or reading some quotes, pasting it. And, these are all inspirational. These are reminders of what we can do. And from Atal Innovation Mission, actually, we have launched Tinker from Home modules. There are 4 modules that we have launched so that students can start engaging in learning, and they are fun-based activities. For example, we have AI do-it-yourself modules. We have launched game development because children love playing games. So how do you create games instead of playing games? So we have introduced a game development module along with Dell Technologies so that children can start creating their own games. And there are 2 modules we have launched. One is the beginner's module using Scratch, and the other is the module using Construct, the more advanced module. But the important thing is, when you are creating a game, you can involve the entire family. So the family can get involved, your friends can get involved. It is on the web. So you actually, this is a fun design of a game where everybody gives ideas, and you know how games are. The more interesting you make a game, the more interesting you navigate through the game, the better it is. So these are all collaborative activities where there is an element of learning as well as there is an element of fun. And then, of course, we have launched 3D design modules where you can do 3D design using for 3D printers when you go back to school. Now, one of the things that you mentioned was, this fear of what is going to happen to me, when is school going to start, and how will it affect my studies. And I'm the 10th and 11th people are very worried about the uncertainty of our time. We don't know when this COVID-19 lockdown is going to come to an end. Things will become normal. So how do you deal with this uncertainty? What are some of the things that one can do to deal with this uncertainty?
We keep hearing about uncertainty with a very negative connotation. The media uses it, these uncertain times, the economy, these uncertain times, health, we don't know. But, even within uncertainty, there are some certainties. And maybe we should, try and focus on those. Like, for instance, this is a once in a lifetime experience. The world has forced us to take this time out and to stop. And really, in life, how many times do we get a chance to recalibrate, to rethink, So let us, yes, of course, we don't know what the next days are going to bring, but let's use that to focus on the day we have. I would suggest, we can use this time for many things, to fix, to mend, to catch up on things we missed out, things we did not learn, to think hard and reflect. And I'm not really talking about the Instagrammable Facebook stuff and the cool recipe or the fun selfie, but I'm really talking about a deeper inner reflection. Just to give you an example, when I was 14 years old, we had a crisis in our family due to a security issue that my father experienced. And I was, we were all separated and made to live in different places. Again, like this, we didn't know for how long. It was a security issue. And I happened to live with somebody who was a maths teacher. And she actually worked with me and brought me to the top of my class. Now, I know on one level, I was so sad that I was separated from my family, but this was also something really positive for me that brought me up. So children, use this time, use this time to really revisit, to think, to catch up, especially with school, with subjects that maybe you were lagging, to actually think, am I really happy with where I'm going? What do I really want to do? Do those reflections. Also, this slow pace that life has thrown at us, we can use it to do things more deliberately. What I'm also learning from the COVID experience is that it's giving me an opportunity to see if what I'm doing is what I really want to do, if what I'm learning is what I really want to learn. And this is an opportunity for me to really assess and plan my life. I'm also learning one thing as we live through this pandemic, that our hearts and our heads and our minds, they are great resources. Kindness, gratitude, imagination, and curiosity, they all live within us, lockdown or no lockdown. No one can take this away from us. And my suggestion is to use these as much as possible to make every day meaningful for ourselves and for our family. I can't give you too many examples, but make it your own and start thinking. One thing for sure, though, I really want to encourage all of you to do is to please read. Find books and read. Reading helps us build and expand our mind space. And it is an infinite mind space if we are really wanting to stretch it. Reading helps us travel. It helps us to visualize and express, and it activates our senses. So really, young people, I know many of you don't like to read. We all like fast, 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 what we can scan through on our phones with our little fingers. But use this precious time to form a reading habit. Yeah.
Thank you, Nicole. And I think the key is there is, don't look upon uncertainty as something which is negative, but as an opportunity. In fact, this is a great opportunity for you to be able to network with your family. How many times you have wished that your family spent a little more time with you, understanding what you need, being able to impart. Maybe your dad is a great successful business person, or he's a great scholar, or he's an academician, and he's a great writer. This is your opportunity to get to know him more. Your mother may have so many talents that you had not known. This is an opportunity for you to learn from that. And also, there is, we are very fortunate that we are living in a highly connected world, a world where technology has reduced the distance, where you have access to YouTube sessions like the ones which Ronak is so busy putting up on a daily basis. And this is another YouTube session which is being recorded. So you have infinite sources of information for learning. You also have the opportunity to reflect at this point in time. I would think, in some manner, this COVID-19 crisis has come during the school break time, which is very fortunate. So much of the school has not been impaired as much as if it had come in the peak of the school days. But still, this is an opportunity for you to now do a lot of new things that you have always wanted to do, but didn't find the time or didn't find the inclination. And as Nicole rightly pointed out, the opportunity for learning is immense. So whether it is through reading books, whether it is listening to TED Talks on various subjects, or whether it is through YouTube sessions which are meaningful and which are very informative, it can be a great source of joy and entertainment to you, as well as an interactive experience in learning. And finally, I would also suggest that all of you who are, since you are all Atal Tinkering Lab students and innovators, if you're writing any blogs, if you're writing any articles, recently one of the students wrote a blog, and that's published, and it's a very nice article on his own experiences in Atal Tinkering Lab and so on. We need more and more of such articles, blogs, write-ups, your experiences to come to us, and those which are worthy of sharing with the rest of the people, we will do that. And that will launch a new area of creativity for you. How do you express yourself? Because communication is such an important aspect in today's world. The ability to communicate about yourself, your creation, your innovation, your experience is something that others can learn from. Therefore, you have many, many opportunities to do that. Now, coming to the one issue that we do have, many of the students are not, for example, they are not able to meet their friends physically, and maybe some of them meet them over the social media, but that also if they have access to it, and if the other person has access to it. How do you see, and there is also relationship between families. For example, some of the families, their children are not, they are somewhere else, they have gone abroad and they are not able to come back, or they are in another job or sector and they are not able to come home. So how do you deal with that sort of, maintaining a healthy relationship, maintaining the hygiene of a healthy relationship, even during these self-isolated times?
We've discussed family. So I think I'll focus more on peers. I guess at this time, this was peers are so important to children in this age, the adolescent age. We really look forward to seeing our friends. We look forward to that exchange of experience. In fact, my own kids were sharing with me that, mom, we are not doing anything new. So there's not that much to talk about. Nobody's going anywhere. So yes, it is a difficult time, and I know young people must be really, they miss their friends a whole lot, because I think at this stage friends are as important, if sometimes not more important, to young people than family. But I guess take comfort in the fact that nobody is going anywhere. Everybody's at home, and stay strong. It will pass. If we can find those of us who are lucky enough to have access to online schools and the internet, I'm sure we are keeping in touch with our friends on the internet. I mean, through the internet, through WhatsApp and Google Hangout and other interactive platforms from where we can talk to our friends. Do that, try and do it in a structured way so that, it's not just, so that that conversation becomes more mindful and more meaningful. So if you do have access, try and, coordinate with your parents, your friends' parents, and set a time where you all can have a hangout, maybe 2, 3 friends at a time, where you are mindfully discussing something. Also, young people, as these friendships have moved, from a classroom into now the virtual space, what we say, even if it is a joke or lightly teasing somebody, when you're saying it verbally and you are there together to clarify it when you're in the same physical space, is very difficult from when you put things down in a chat and somebody is just receiving words. So a little bit of caution, be mindful when you're writing. We don't realize, but we can also bully our friends and tease our friends a lot, also exclude friends when we are communicating in the virtual space. I have seen, for instance, people will make WhatsApp groups and exit them because they want to leave one person out, right? Use language, everybody will put mean emojis, and once it's out there, young friends, it stays. The harm and the hurt stays, and those words remain. They can't be deleted. So I'm not getting into great details of online safety. There's a lot of advice out there, and I can't cover it in this very short time. But just to say, be mindful. Before you feel, when you feel this impulse to post something, take a moment, just take a deep breath and think, do I really need to do this? Do I really need to put myself out there? Do I really want to put so much personal information about myself out there? I'm not saying the internet is a bad place. If we didn't have internet, we wouldn't be having this conversation. But let's be careful. Let's self-regulate. Over here, I have a point for parents. Dear parents, at this stage, and I think here's where we as parents have to step in and play a role, because while we must give our children access to the internet, we must regulate it, because this is a stage where thoughts are being formed, and when we're on WhatsApp or Instagram or Google Chat, there's this constant bombarding and beaming of information to which there is pressure on us to reply. But this is a stage where, we have to protect our children from this constant bombarding so that they have a chance to form their thoughts. Sometimes we have to be unpopular parents by regulating how much time is spent on screens and how much time is spent on phones. And it's tough to do because sometimes it's very easy to just let the child be on a gadget. So this is something, that we must, very consciously as parents, as caregivers of children, really work to regulate so that children are able to form their own minds and thoughts, and they're not just spontaneously responding to things. It will help them in the long run as they grow into adulthood.
Great. So you brought up one very important point, and that is the role of parents also in ensuring that the safety of the children, they take interest in that. They're able to guide them on how to leverage online tools and technologies, and at the same time, not inhibit them, from exploring, but caution them on what should be accessed, what should not be accessed. And that is a very important role that parents play. Not somebody who is being strict and admonishing them for mistakes that the children make, but being supportive and educative and being very sensitive. And at the same time, children also need to empathize with each other. And I think you brought up a very important point of this, lack of sensitivity sometimes in WhatsApp groups or social media groups that you are associated with, where you end up hurting a person because of lack of attention, lack of mindfulness in what you have written. All that you have to do is imagine if you were at the other end receiving such a message, then what would your reaction be? And once you understand that, you would understand how it would hurt somebody else. And then you would do the same thing because you wouldn't want to be on the receiving end of such a message or such an emoji or such a statement that you may have possibly made. So I think it is very important when we are leveraging social media, when we are leveraging online medium, to be able to empathize, to be careful, to be very mindful on how we enter and how we interact. Because these, you don't want to break friendships, you want to make friendships. And at the same time, you have to see how you can leverage all of this for learning and for doing new things. Now, I have a question. You know, we talked about mindfulness in not only in what you do, but in your behavior and so on and so forth. Are there, this is all about mental health, but mental health is also very closely related to physical health and physical well-being. Both are as important. Unless you are physically fit and unless you are having a physical well-being, it is very difficult to have emotional well-being and psychological well-being also, and vice versa. Unless you are psychologically having a good psychological health and mental health, it becomes difficult for you to maintain physical health. But there is a close correlation. What do you make of this close correlation, and what do you encourage from a physical health point of view so that your mental and psychological health is also preserved and enhanced?
From a physical health point of view, I guess I'm not going to go into technical aspects of what to eat and how to stay physically healthy. But I think as young people, I think, and this is something that was taught to me as a young social worker. I think if we physically unclutter, right? And try and put a structure, especially in this COVID, when our whole normal pattern has been, completely distorted in a very short span of time. And I feel if we unclutter as much as possible physically, it creates space to even have a better mental and emotional state. So really, I mean, this was supposed to be a fun chat for kids, and I don't know whether they are enjoying and whether they'll enjoy hearing what I have to say. But here's a recommendation, and try it.
And make it as fun as possible.
Yeah, create a routine. Try as far as possible to have routine and structure in your day. um, Build in your fun time in it, build in something special for yourself. Try and keep it such that it sort of ties in and makes everybody's time at home optimal, right? If you wake up at the right time, then the kitchen functions appropriately so that meals can take place on time, showers happen, bath happens at the right time, and the whole family space becomes a healthier and more sorted and organized space. And when we work in an organized fashion, automatically it clears up space for our mind and heart to breathe and for us to feel better. So here is what I suggest. Do have a routine, do have a timetable, sync your timetable up, synchronize it with the rest of the family so that everyone can function optimally. Do bathe, do clean your spaces, so that when it's physically uncluttered, you mentally unclutter and emotionally unclutter too. Don't sleep too late, wake up reasonably, check your timings constantly with the rest of the family. When I have a routine, then I know whether I'm all right. I know what my optimal is. I know when I'm better than optimal, and I know when I'm below optimal. It also will help me then identify those points where I'm not functional and I need help, right? When I know what is expected of me on a routine basis, when I need help and I'm not able to function, I will be able to know that better. Also, when one has a structure and a routine, one can give oneself a day off. So I can treat myself to a day of fun, or a day of movies, or a day of doing something with my mom, or a day of doing something with my dad. So really, physically, if we unclutter, mentally, it creates a better environment for our minds to be uncluttered.
Excellent. Excellent. So, the word unclutter is very important. When we talk about unclutter, we are actually freeing up, space. Uncluttering is you have a lot of stuff which is either inside your head or physically around you, and you're removing all the clutter and you're creating space. And in that space, you find the freedom, and in that freedom, you start finding new opportunities for you to explore, to discover, and to learn, and to also have fun. So I think it's very important, and for that, developing a sort of routine and scheduling some time during the day will also make you a little more disciplined, because every great things happen with a certain amount of discipline. Sachin Tendulkar didn't become the great cricketer that he was without practicing every 4 hours in the morning, getting up early in the morning at 6 o'clock and practicing his cricketing strokes. And he did that till the end of his career, until he retired. And that sort of discipline is also required. So building a schedule and building a routine for yourself, whether it is physical activities, whether it is learning or intellectual activities, or whether it is having time with your family and friends and allocating certain time, or for your reading. If you just broadly place yourself in all these 4 or 5 categories and schedule some time, you will suddenly find yourself developing in multiple directions, and your psychological well-being will be assured, because you have so many things to look forward to during a day. During a day, you're saying, now this is a time for my physical exercise, so let me do something. This is my time for my reading, let me read some books. So you suddenly find that you have more and more activities, meaningful, mindful activities to get engaged in, and as a result of which you also feel good about what you're doing. So with this, Ronak, I'm going to throw it open for questions that you are receiving from people. So please read out the question, and we can have either Nicole or me responding to them.
Sure, sir. Sir, just give me one moment. First of all, Smita Jain writes, "Thank you, ma'am, for the beautiful ideas to know about ourselves." Uh, she asked a question that how can she? It is difficult. It is sometimes difficult for her to explain her emotions and her thoughts to her own parents, and sometimes she feels a little anxious or scared to talk to her parents, because her parents might take this her thoughts in a more I would say unpleasant way. Okay, so how can she actually start a conversation around her anxiety, around what she's feeling, around what other boys or girls are making her feel through social media or her classroom.
Okay, may I answer that?
Yeah, please go ahead.
So I just want to say to her, and I'm really grateful that she asked this question. I completely appreciate that sometimes we're a little anxious to talk to our parents about things that are personal, things that involve feelings. I would also suggest that we can widen this little network of support. And this is what I would want to recommend to every young person who's listening, especially because we are going through extremely strenuous, difficult time right now. Please consider creating a little support network for yourself. This network could consist of maybe a sibling, an older or younger sibling, an uncle or aunt, perhaps a friend. But do tell your parents that you are going to have this support network, and seek out, tell the people themselves who you would invite to be part of this support network for you, that you're going to be coming to them when you feel anxious and when you would like to discuss something that perhaps you are not comfortable to talk about with your parents. If you are very comfortable with a parent, either one or both of your parents, then do seek them out. But I would suggest that this young girl creates this support group for herself of one or two people in her environment who she can reach out to, discuss with them, get comfortable, and gradually approach your parents and talk about it. It may be new for your parents, but seek time with them, tell them what it's about, and perhaps they will support you more than you think. If there are problems, and I want to say this to all the young people, if you have a serious problem, do know, and you need to reach out for help in the emergency. Do know that there is 1098, 1098. It's called Childline. It is a service for children, and they will talk to you, and they will listen to you, and they will help you find solutions to your problem. You be the gauge of whether you need the helpline or whether speaking to somebody in your family and friend network would be able to help you. But do talk. Do talk, do seek the time out, do talk. Parents, if you're hearing, we have to extend ourselves a little bit more than perhaps we would. We have to be more patient. We have to perhaps overcome some of the inhibitions or mind blocks that we may have on certain issues at this time, because our children don't have very many people to reach out to. So we will have to overcome some of these mind blocks to be able to receive what our children bring to us. And we must not actively encourage parents, don't judge. Don't judge. Accept what our children are bringing. Hear them, because sometimes they don't want solutions. They want to be accepted and they want to be heard.
So that's a wonderful suggestion, Nicole, and I think it has both a message for children and for parents. For the children, create your own support network, and if that support network can include some members of your family or even your extended families or relatives and so on and so forth, maybe your grandmother, you're able to talk to her a lot more easily. But have somebody to listen to your problem, because you should be able to voice your problem to someone and be able to hear, and that person should be willing to hear you without judging on, without any judgment, and be able to support you in some manner. And the second thing is a message for the parents that we all should be great listeners to our children. You know, children have issues. We may want the perfect world where no child has any issue whatsoever and they are exactly aligned to how we think. But you are different and the child is different. Your children, your son or your daughter is a different human being, and they have their own questions. They may have issues which they are running into. The least that any parent can do is be supportive and listen to them without judgment, without imposing your dreams and your aspirations on the child, because every child has their own dream, has their own aspiration. You may be a doctor and you may want your child to become a doctor, but the child may want to become an artist. And you have to be able to listen to that and make sure that you're encouraging the path where their passion lies and where their interest lies. So there are many, many examples like this. Unfortunately, as parents, we grow up with certain mind blocks, with certain mindsets. We grow up with certain traditional cultures in which we have grown up. And the modern world, today's world, is a very different world than the world in which we grew up. And therefore, you have to be very mindful of this, and you have to make sure that you become a great listener, you become a friend rather than a parent. At some point, you have to transition from being a parent to a friend in whom the child can trust. And so it's a great piece of suggestion that you gave. Yeah, Ronak, any next question? Ronak?
Yes, sir. I'm so sorry. My internet just got a little wobbly. So now we have actually addressed one question from one of the students. Okay, there's one question from an ATL in charge, and then I'll ask a question from a parent as well. So we have that kind of a variety. An ATL in charge asks how to deal with kids who are having online classes and then they want to play online games too. So teachers these days are conducting a lot of online classroom sessions. But what happens is students get distracted by playing some online games. Basically, concentration is something that is challenging in these times. So how can as ATL in charges or as teachers or as educators, they can ensure that the child's concentration, the student's concentration is in the session?
May I?
Yeah, please.
So I think the teachers will try their best, right? But I think students have to learn to self-regulate. It's very easy, and it's my loss if ma'am is speaking in the classroom and I'm doing something else on WhatsApp or playing a game on the side. And I think since parents are also at home in this duration, I think we need to strongly urge parents, while teachers will talk and counsel and keep reminding children, and teachers also know, when the child is distracted, even though it is an online format, I still know when somebody is not listening to me. So I think we also need to bring in parents to keep an eye, to walk into the space where the child is, having that online class, to also ensure that the laptop is in a location where I can walk past as a parent and see easily what's going on that laptop. So I think parents have to come in to play this role to ensure, and also children, all of you who are out there and listening, you access to online classes, do understand it's a big privilege. Don't take it for granted. Be responsible and be present in your classroom. It's not easy, even for our teachers and schools, to have put this together for us. So I think a little bit more responsibility on the children's side, and perhaps for the teachers and the school administration to keep reminding parents that they need to be a little bit more watchful, and remind children that they can't take advantage of privilege that they have. There are millions of children who would die to be in an online classroom and are not getting that facility. So we really need to be careful and learn to regulate and be responsible for ourselves.
Yeah. Ronak, thanks Nicole, for that. And yeah, it's very important because many of the teachers are trying to ensure online training programs, and it is the students' responsibility to take advantage of it. We encourage very much that the ATL in charges, I think they're doing a splendid job. I want to thank all the ATL in charges who are participating on this call and even beyond, because without the ATL in charges and without the mentors and without the support of the principal and the school management, none of these initiatives are going to be a success. And it is very important for children. I mean, you want to become a person who will leave a ding in the universe, as Steve Jobs said. You want to create an impact. You want to create a positive impact. And you can only create a positive impact if you become capable, if you unleash your creative potential. But for that, you should be able to learn the basics. You should have the foundational knowledge of everything. And once you have foundational knowledge, then you build upon that knowledge using the tools and technologies that is being provided to you through these adult tinkering labs or through your schools and through the various interactive sessions that are there. And when you use all of that, you start innovating and you start unleashing your creative potential. And that is what it is all about. Then you can make an impact on the world. And you should make an impact. Why should we just live our life as just an also ran in a race? In a race, people run. You can be a winner, and you should be a winner in whatever you do. You can. And to become a winner, it is not necessary you have to be in the top 3. You are a winner in the area of your choice, and there are so many areas of choices that you can easily become a winner in that area. But then you have to apply yourself, you have to discipline yourself, and you have to collaborate and learn. So I think these are very important points. Yeah, Ronak, anything, any other question? I think we are close to 1 hour. One last question.
Sure, sir. So this is the final question in the interest of time, and this is from a parent. The parent writes, setting routine has become very challenging for working mothers. Yeah, it's really difficult to manage their kids and their work as well. What do you think as a working mother, and how do you manage your time with your children and your work?
That's a
Listen to answer it.
Yeah, that's a very bang on question. It was tough initially, but I think, one has to also toughen up as a working mom. And also, I know these things are much easier said than done, and they are a constant work in progress. But I think as a woman, you have to also lay down with your family what you need from them. Sometimes our families may be more supportive than we think they might be. Sometimes they may not be supportive and they may expect us as the working woman to do everything. But I think work on the family, let them know that you need everybody to hold their weight and to help and take charge and be responsible. And I think here it's also children. Children, you need to understand what mom's going through and step up and support her. Children, husbands, mother-in-laws, mothers, fathers, whoever's in, it's a family effort. And I think this pandemic is an opportunity for us to create some ground rules in how families should transact, such that it's not a disproportional load on one person. So and I think if personally myself, I try to adhere to my routine and schedule so that I don't give anybody a chance to be lax around me. It's tough. Some days I really want to just chill out, but sometimes I do it, and then but it's a work in progress. There's no easy answer, and yeah, I guess our whole family has to stand in and support, and we need to insist on it and confidently insist.
Excellent. So, Ronak, I just want Nicole, any closing words on this, and before we wrap it up?
Yeah, I just have one thing to say to the young people who are listening. Please, this is perhaps a once in a lifetime experience for all of us. You guys, we are halfway through our lives, or more than halfway through our lives. But the young people who are listening in, you are the generation that is going to make the movies, that is going to write the books about COVID, that is going to be finding the technology solutions to deal with pandemics as we move out of it. So just to say to you, don't feel so sad. Step up, observe, listen, take note of everything that's going on. Think of this as a big action research that you are part of. And who knows, tinker away. Who knows, those big ideas for a just, fair, more efficient, caring world may actually emerge from one of you. So good luck. Breathe in and absorb what we're going through, learn from it, and we're all there. We're all there. We're all going through this together. So lots and lots of love and good luck to everybody.
Thank you, for a very engaging discussion. We are very grateful for your, words, your insights, your suggestions, your advice, your guidance in this particular talk. I'd like to just end it up with this. How do you convert COVID from a crisis to an opportunity? And I just look at the word COVID and I look at it and say, can the C stand for collaboration? Can it stand for creativity? Can it become a mechanism by which you are able to creatively collaborate? It is coming together. I mean, your family is coming together. How do you use that as an opportunity for your own growth, for your own creativity and for collaboration? The O stands for taking some ownership and responsibility in your house and taking responsibility for yourself. You suddenly realize that we are a country where everybody is going through the same crisis, and unless every one of us takes some ownership, starting from home and then going outside and taking ownership for that, we are not going to succeed as a nation. The Prime Minister says we want to become a self-reliant country. To become a self-reliant country, you have to become self-reliant in your own home to begin with, and then you become self-reliant outside. The V stands for venturing into new areas and new learnings and to new possibilities. Open up your mind to ensure that there are new learnings and you venture into it boldly. Like we have introduced Tinker from Home modules. Learn from artificial intelligence, learn from game development, learn from 3D design, learn from digital creativity and skills modules, learn from the YouTube sessions, venture and try to do something, venture into blog writing, venture into arts, venture into some scientific research that you want to do. And these are all possibilities that you can convert into opportunities. The I stands for innovation. You are an innovator. Believe in yourself, and you will achieve great things. And that will bring a tremendous strength of mind to you. When you've been there, done that, you have created your own innovation. Nothing gives you confidence in that. And D stands for discipline and dedication. Without a sense of discipline, without a sense of dedication, you will not be able to convert the opportunity that you see into a reality. And that is what we all want to do. You all want to make an impact. You are capable of creating an impact. And it is only with a combination of not only good physical health, but mental well being, with psychological well being, that we can all achieve. And this is true for all the people on the call, whether it is a student, whether it is a parent, whether it is a teacher, whether it is a principal, whether it is a mentor. I'm sure everyone of us will benefit with this attitude, a very positive attitude for us to convert COVID into an opportunity rather than treat it as a crisis. So with that, I thank you all for participating in this call. It has been wonderful interacting with you. I'm sure this particular interaction with Nicole has left a lot of food for thought for you, even as dinner time approaches in your home. And I'm sure that you're going to benefit from all of this. Ronak, thank you so much. And I hand it over to you for the closure of the same.
Thank you so much, all of you, for your time and patience. Today we had Ramanan sir and Nicole for this particular YouTube live session. And we will be back real soon with a lot of more interesting sessions as well under the Teaching from Home flagship. With that, thank you so much. Happy tinkering. And do like, share, and subscribe the Atal Innovation Mission YouTube page. Thank you so much.